for coming, and thank you for those of you who sent photos that I've been able to incorporate into the big show tonight. They were very helpful, and amazingly, they really helped illustrate some good points. So thank you. You'll notice we're videotaping tonight. Janice Bolster regretted not being able to be here. She said, "Why don't you video these things?" So I mentioned it to Gene, and he did some research, and to do it properly would take a lot more effort than we're going through tonight. So this is sort of just a little thing.
But with the slides in a separate package.
Right, yeah, exactly. Okay, black and white basics. Okay, this is what we're going to be doing. First, a presentation, sort of just going over some of the major things to keep in mind when shooting black and white. There's lots of illustrations. Please ask questions at any point. Contradict me at any point.
Stand over into the frame.
Just don't snore. Anyway, feel free to interrupt at any point. That'll be about maybe 35. If things go according to the way I timed it, it'll be about 35 minutes or so. Okay, and then we will, several of us, I'll start off, demonstrate a few of the editing techniques that are crucial to black and white photography. Gene will do something, and then Jay, were you prepared to do something with the program you use?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and then we'll have final question and answer, and then if time allows, and I think we will have time, if you have photos you're working on and you want to talk about them and go through them and see what editing can be done with them, we will go do a one-on-one session up here for as long as we have time for. And then all of this will be available, or the presentation will be available as a PDF. Just email me and I'll send it to you.
Why don't you just put it on the webpage?
Yeah, it will be, but you know, I can cover all bases. Most of these presentations are now going up on the website. So.
No, I'm just saying you can put the PDF on the presentations on the website.
On the website, I know, but this is an alternative method for those who.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
We're too lazy.
All right, why shoot black and white? Okay. It took 100 years of technological development to make color photography available to everyone after the invention of black and white. So why in the world would we want to take it away, remove color, and go back to black and white? What does it provide that color doesn't, or doesn't do as well? That's what we're going to be focusing on pretty much tonight. One major trait of black and white is it's transformative. It actually, according to Jason Bradley, Outdoor Photographer Magazine, black and white transcends reality and transform an image into a realm that isn't abstraction, but isn't reality either. The black and white image deconstructs the scene and reduces it to its forms and tones. That really says a lot, and I think that's really, by the way, you'll see these at the bottom. When it's like this, it's my photo. When that changes, it's somebody else's. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
That was his name. Okay, anyway. And Michael Freeman is an alternative visual world, a surreal one, because everything in the world is seen differently from the way we experienced it. And that's really the power of black and white and why we still do it. You might remember this photo that won an award at the end of the year. And Pam, I haven't seen the color version of this, but I will bet anything that she saw this as a story to tell about the old being replaced by the new, transitions, whatever. Stories like this are easy to tell in black and white. There's a starkness about it, or something, an elemental form about it that makes it a story you want to tell. Not every photo has to tell a story, of course, but the ones that do, sometimes the story becomes more apparent, and that's, I think, the case here very strongly. Okay, color also tells you more. It tells you what something is. And that's fine when you want to just say, this is a bunch of rusty stuff, okay? But if you want to transform that into shapes and textures, that's what you see first. Sort of take the definition away, the obvious away, and then something else is allowed to float up in your mind. So by getting rid of the color, you throw people off a little bit, and they're forced into a fresh view of things. Okay, the challenge. We live in color. Everything is color. We see in color. We have no choice. And taking it away forces us to see a new way. And if we're thinking properly about black and white photography, we begin to search for other elements that we may not be as obvious in a color photograph. Lines, shapes, textures, patterns, contrasting elements. We're going to go through each one of these and talk about the attributes and what they do for a successful black and white photograph. You should, even in color, you should be searching for subtle things in photographs, in a scene, in a subject. So many beginning photographers, they see something interesting. Oh, that's a neat old tractor. Snap, they've got a neat old tractor. But if they start thinking about shapes, forms, tones, contrast, textures, they would be spending a lot more time with that tractor. Suddenly they'd be finding things in that thing that maybe aren't obvious to people and need to be revealed to people. And that is one of the things that you can do. Okay, now this is the key statement in the whole presentation. You not only have to recognize these qualities, but you search for them and provide them in a more dramatic way within the black and white photograph. You're taking away color, but you're putting back something that's even more important. Okay, learning to see in black and white. This is the hard part, because we all see in color all the time. It's hard to see something in black and white. You know, how is this going to look in black and white? Learning to see helps you see those subtle aspects we mentioned before. But you have to force yourself to sort of ask, what is this color doing anything? If obviously the color is the subject, you're not even going to be thinking about black and white. But generally you're going to be saying, well, is the color important here? How important is it? If I take it away, can I reveal something more important? What else can I do with this to make it more compelling? And we'll see some examples of that as I go through. Composition is not a big part, because composition is important, crucial to every form of photography, but in black and white, sometimes if you're looking for key elements, you have to compose differently to show those key elements. So that's something to keep in mind. And as well, of course, lighting is always crucial to any kind of photography, but sometimes, as you'll see with some examples, lighting is very important in enhancing those subjects. Okay, seeing in color. One day, a couple springs ago, actually on the day that Jim Simmons was buried, it was a spring day, and I went off to, I guess maybe drown my sorrows, and decided to spend the day shooting red buds. It was a great season for red buds, so I was really into red buds. Got some nice shots. And by the end of the day, I ended up here. Everybody know we're on the road into Highland. I saw this red bud, and I said, you know, I have all these photos with masses of red buds. What about a single red bud sitting there among all the other things? That'll make a great shot. The lighting's pretty poor, but I can fix that in Photoshop or Lightroom. Well, I couldn't. It was really not a good shot of a red bud. At the time, I was so focused on red buds, I couldn't see the obvious. What's the obvious here? The lines, the shadows, all these great forms here. So, make it black and white. Then all of a sudden, those things then pop out at you. So this was the day when I was focused on one thing, and not seeing what I should be seeing. Luckily, took the shot anyway, but if I had decided at the time that it wouldn't have made a good red bud shot, I probably would have walked away. So anyway, seeing is important. Okay, now this photographer took an excellent shot up at Monticello, right? And it's really a great moody shot, just as it is. It's got everything. It's got nice lines, it's got balance, well composed, two people, very moody. But as all good photographers, she didn't stop there. She cropped it, okay? Simpler. It tells a more concise message, maybe a stronger message. Two people walking in the rain on a miserable day. Didn't stop there, did she? No, she won a prize by cropping down and converting it to black and white. The color in these was not very important at all. The color had no role to play in this photograph. So by getting rid of the color and simplifying it down to that one person, she had a very, very
Can I add one more thing?
emotionally strong photo.
Gerry, can I add one thing before you go on?
What's that?
Can I add one thing
Yes,
before you go
please do.
on? I really appreciate you thinking that I did this on purpose because I could see that the better shot was going to be minimalist. But actually, because I don't really use Photoshop, I mean, I don't,
Right,
you know,
right.
I can't do
Or
that.
you would have
I
gotten
had
rid of
some
this
stuff
here.
down below I wanted to get rid of.
Yeah, you would have gotten this, and you would have moved her over here.
And so, you know, I just kept cropping until I could get it the way I thought it would really, and I felt really badly about making the man go away, but you know.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's really good. Any other, the rest of you want to make a liar out of me, please keep it quiet, okay? Anyway.
Jerry, please keep over that way farther, closer to the table.
So
you're
you
in
can see
frame.
me? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, really? Okay. All right. Now, an excruciatingly adorable granddaughter of Jay. But there's a problem. The light is awful. It doesn't do anything for this. The lighting is correct and it comes from the side, it highlights the right thing, but it's really terrible lighting. So, the solution? Bingo. All right? So you don't have to live with bad color. Jay took this shot. I'll bet anything he wasn't thinking of the color of the grass and the color of the trees behind it. He was thinking of the forms of these trees and the great texture of those trees. So obviously, black and white. See how it's getting rid of the color enhances what you want to draw the person's attention to? This wonderful texture and the shapes. Okay. When I first saw this photo, it was telling me a story. In 2020, Donald Trump got reelected. The narrow window we had for saving ourselves from climate change slammed shut. 100 years from now, which is when this photo was taken, our atmosphere was toxic, and the derelict wind turbines were our grave markers. Now, I'm not sure that Bill thought of that when he took this shot. But another good thing about converting to black and white, it can end nightmares. So, see the difference. Color here, not working at all. And the starkness of this is much, much stronger. Okay, perfectly beautiful picture of a yellow rose. Thank you, Tony. Perfectly taken, sharp, lighting excellent, but it's one of probably 10 million pictures of yellow roses, right? Now, it's her yellow rose, and maybe she likes it for that, but she had, I think, don't call me a liar, I think you said to yourself, well, there's something more I can do with this. There's something else here that I can show people besides just another yellow rose. Converting it to black and white, suddenly it just changes the forms and the shapes and the shading, and you can almost feel it in a way. So again, even if you have a good shot, don't stop there. We have other goods. Oh, by the way, Juliana Godspotaro, I don't know who that is, but she said something very nice, and it brings up the whole idea of the emotion. black and white is more emotive than color is in many cases. Beautiful color, of course, is wonderful its own way, but it tends to bring out some of our most base emotions. And that's, I think, what's happening here. Okay, so I'm supposed to stand over here. Okay. Spencer Cox, this is a good reference. I've listed references at the back, by the way, that I found online that I think are very good. Trying to catch an essence of the subject more than the precise replica of what you saw. Sometimes that essence is more about shadow, texture, shape, and contrast than about its particular hues. Jim took this beautiful photograph of a southern magnolia blossom, and it's great in its own right. But the black and white is also great. Whether it's better or not, I don't know, but it's also really strong, really good. Okay, now, here we have a picture of a train. Perfectly composed, except maybe he would have let a little more room on this side over here. Nice diagonal line, great lighting, perfect depth of field, everything, but it's an ordinary train. There's nothing interesting about this, right, Gene?
Right.
Right. But and he knew that.
The sun was
He
horrible.
knew that.
too. Yeah.
So he said, "What can I do with this thing? This plain, homely thing? I can transform it into something magical. This is really a different photo altogether." And notice how dark it is. Key to many good conversions to black and white. Great highlights through here. All of just seeing the elemental nature of this thing. This is all black because you're not interested in this at all. Wonderful example of a transformation. Okay, now I would never put words in Seth's mouth. Never even think about it. So I'm going to let him tell you.
I like your interpretation.
I'll let him tell you how he and why he went from here to here. Anyway, go ahead, Seth.
Well, barns are a particular structure which are amenable to black and white because of the texture and the grain. And when I tried it, I liked it a lot that way, and I also liked the transition to the sky and the texture of the field and the skies beyond. And that's it.
Okay. And I was thinking that maybe back in your mind, even though you didn't say so, that this, I'm not putting their words in his mouth, I'm just guessing.
Look at his brain.
This color here, color draws the eye, right? Brightness, sharpness, and color draws your eye in whatever photograph you're talking about. Okay, this draws my eye. It's a beautiful sky, beautiful landscape, everything cool. But he wants us to look at this, mostly.
Well, that also leads into that.
I'm making a point.
Okay.
Okay, by making that black and white, your eye is not drawn there. What he was seeking is the transition is still there. But for me, my eye is more drawn to this now than it was before. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay,
Gerry.
learning to see in black and white. Okay, how do you get there? How do you train yourself to see in black and white? Okay, first of all, you set your camera to shoot in RAW. Anybody here not have their camera set on RAW all the time? Yeah, but you shoot with a cell phone, you're disqualified.
But you can shoot and roll with a cell phone.
Yeah, well, some. Yeah, well, anyway, we're not gonna get into that. I promised 35 minutes. RAW, as we know, captures all the data that your sensor can possibly capture. And even though you're gonna be taking color away, that raw data is important to a black and white photograph. So you wanna capture that data. So you set your image quality or whatever your camera calls it, brand account, to RAW. Okay, and by the way, it's moved. It's not capital R-A-W. When you see that, you know that somebody is copying someone else who didn't know what they were talking about. It's R-A-W. It's not an acronym. If you want an acronym, use RIF, raw image format. Once an editor, always an editor. It's
Wow.
raw. Okay, anyway.
Okay, Jerry.
Then, after you set your image quality to raw, go to the next part of the menu called the picture control. I think Canon calls it picture style. And here it's set on standard, which is what it would normally be. This controls what you see on your LCD screen, okay? You can set that to monochrome, so that when you look through the viewfinder, you see it in color, you take the picture, it's captured in color, but you see it in black and white. So right away you can sort of say, yeah, maybe that'll work as a black and white. And as you get more experience, you'll know exactly what you need to do to it to make it a good.
If you're out intentionally going to shoot in black and white, I think you can go a little further and actually set the LCD to project in, so you can preview.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what this is for the LCD. You're capturing it in RAW, and you're capturing all the color data and everything. But this is what you're going to see on your LCD. Yeah, it'll come up automatically.
Prior to shooting.
Yeah, and that'll give you just a head start anyway. And when you learn then more about it, you'll be able to see, oh yeah, I see there's enough contrast there or whatever. Okay.
Are you doing prior to shooting, or are you doing the preview after you shoot?
Either way.
Okay. But he thought you said prior.
Okay, well, no, yeah, I'm doing it, I'm saying do it. Yeah, you might as well set it. You don't need to see the color on your screen. You see it through the viewfinder, so you don't need to see it on your LCD. But what you do want to see is the black and white. So you can set it and then start shooting. Yeah.
I would say for people who have a mirrorless camera, and I think all mirrorless cameras do this, you have an electronic viewfinder, and you actually see it through the viewfinder in black and
Oh,
white
really?
as well, which is really a huge benefit.
Oh, it would be, yeah.
Yeah, because
yeah.
then you can adjust, your
Sure.
exposure and whatever you need to do.
Well,
And there
you
may
should-
be other cameras that do that as well, but I know the mirrorless cameras do.
Of course, if you're shooting RAW, you shouldn't be adjusting your exposure unless to avoid blown out highlights. It's the only way things.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, so that's a tip to help you see. Okay. Another shooting tip to since you want to capture all the data that's there, you want to catch all the blacks, all the brights, everything in between, all the colors. Should bracket your exposure. Sometimes you're shooting when you can't capture all the bright or all the black. You may want those data in your photo. So you do what you always do when you have a scene with too much contrast, too much distance between black and bright and dark. You bracket. And then you combine them in HDR, and you have all the data. And again, as in RAW, it provides the data you can use when trying to extract every bit of detail, refinement out of your conversion. Okay,